you see the release coming?
I thought it was coming months ago, but I didn't think I was coming back Raw after Mania. I could see the writing on the wall. I was being treated slightly differently, and I completely...
Matt Riddle explodes on WWE TKO merger. They fired me weeks before my $1 million payday. Imagine being literally weeks away from your first $1 million paycheck, only to get fired right before the money hits your account. Now imagine that happening not because you quit or because the company went under, but because new corporate owners decided your services were no longer required. Welcome back to the Wrestling Hidden Insight, where we break down the moments when the business side of wrestling reminds everyone that this isn't just about entertaining the fans, it's about balance sheets and quarterly earnings. Today we're unpacking Matt Riddle's explosive comments about getting fired from WWE just before he was set to make $1 million a year. And honestly, if you're looking for a masterclass in terrible timing and corporate ruthlessness, this story has everything you could possibly want. It's got drama, it's got conspiracy, and it's got that special kind of professional heartbreak that only happens when accountants start making creative decisions. Let's start with the big picture here because Riddle's firing didn't happen in isolation. During a recent appearance on TMZ's Inside the Ring podcast, Riddle opened up about the wave of talent releases that have occurred since WWE became part of TKO. And when I say wave, I'm talking about a tsunami of pink slips that would make even the most heartless corporate restructuring consultant say, maybe we should slow down a bit. Riddle laid out the situation with the kind of blunt honesty that only comes from someone who's got nothing left to lose. TKO bought it. They bought the UFC and WWE pretty close together, spent a lot of money. They're just, dude, they've been firing people left and right. That right there tells you everything you need to know about what happens when a massive corporate entity decides that sports entertainment is just another asset to be optimized and streamlined. TKO didn't just buy WWE, they bought it alongside UFC in a spending spree that probably made their accountants break out in hives. And as anyone who's ever worked in corporate America knows, when a company spends a lot of money acquiring something, the first thing they do is figure out how to cut costs to justify that spending. It's business 101, except in this case, the costs they're cutting are human beings with families, mortgages, and career aspirations. Riddle was part of a firing spree that included Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali, and as he put it, countless others. That word countless is doing a lot of work because it suggests the releases were so numerous that keeping track of them all became impossible. It's like watching a company play musical chairs, except they keep removing chairs until only the absolute minimum number of people are left standing. But here's where Riddle's story gets particularly brutal. He acknowledged that WWE had their reasons for firing people, noting that you could say they all had their issues one way or another, just being there too long or not having the same creative vision or etc. It's the kind of diplomatic language that translates to, they came up with justifications for getting rid of expensive talent. The being there too long excuse is particularly corporate because it essentially punishes loyalty and longevity. In most industries, staying with a company for years is seen as dedication and institutional knowledge. In WWE under TKO, it apparently became a liability because veteran talent tends to have veteran contracts with veteran paychecks attached. Riddle then dropped the bomb that explains everything, but I think it was mostly money. Certain people were there this long, you got a certain check. There it is, the real reason stripped of all the corporate speak and creative differences nonsense. People got fired because they were expensive, and TKO wanted to trim the budget to make their acquisition financially viable. But Riddle wasn't finished, and this is where his personal story becomes almost painfully specific. I know, my last year I was supposed to make $1 million a year, they fired me, and it ended December 27th, before I started making that first week of $1 million a year. Let that sink in for a moment. Riddle was fired on December 27th, literally weeks before his new contract kicked in that would have paid him $1 million annually. The timing is so precise, so calculated, that it can't possibly be coincidence. WWE knew exactly when Riddle's big payday was coming, and they cut him loose right before it arrived. It's like watching someone train for a marathon for months, show up to the starting line, and then being told the race is cancelled but thanks for all the preparation. Except instead of a participation medal, you get shown the door. Think about what that means from Riddle's perspective. He had negotiated that $1 million deal, probably celebrated with his family, maybe made financial plans based on that income. And then, with the finish line in sight, the corporate restructuring machine decided that paying him that money wasn't in TKO's best interests. It's the kind of business decision that's perfectly legal but morally questionable at best. Riddle's acknowledgement that they had their reasons shows a level of professional maturity that's honestly impressive given the circumstances. He could have gone full scorched earth on WWE and TKO, burning every bridge and airing every grievance. Instead, he's presenting the situation factually while making it clear he thinks the real reason was financial rather than creative. The mention of other released talents like Dolph Ziggler and Mustafa Ali provides context for how widespread this cost-cutting was. These weren't isolated releases of underperformers. This was a systematic effort to reduce payroll by removing anyone who wasn't considered absolutely essential. Ziggler had been with WWE for over a decade, Ali was a talented performer with a dedicated fanbase, and Riddle was on the verge of $1 million contract. None of that mattered when TKO decided to tighten the budget. So there you have it, Matt Riddle's story of coming within weeks of his first $1 million paycheck only to get fired before the money arrived. It's a reminder that professional wrestling is a business first and an art form second, and when those two priorities conflict, business wins every single time. TKO bought WWE with specific financial goals, and achieving those goals required removing expensive talent regardless of their contributions or potential. If you found this deep dive into the brutal business realities of professional wrestling as sobering as we did, make sure you're subscribed to the Wrestling Hidden Insight because we're constantly uncovering the financial and corporate stories that shape what we see in the ring. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our coverage of the business decisions that change wrestlers' lives, often without warning and always without sentiment. And let us know in the comments. Do you think WWE was justified in timing Riddle's release to avoid his $1 million contract? Or is this the kind of corporate ruthlessness that gives the industry a bad name? We'll catch you in the next one, where we'll continue exploring the hidden business insights that remind us wrestling is as much about spreadsheets as it is about suplexes.